Hello and welcome to Scott's Crazy Builds. Not Scott obviously, I'm Carl. But what we're going to try and do today is have a go at sorting out this stator housing off the jet kart. Because I think you could probably hear in his last video the engine was spooling down under power. He thinks he's found out what it is, and you can see all these black marks around here. And even these bits of picked up Inconel where my pen marks are. He thinks under thermal expansion the back of the rotor has contacted this face and been dragging the engine down. So what we need to do is clean all that off and then give it probably another 0.25mm of axial clearance. So what we're going to do is, I thought it might be a faceplate job, but I think we can get it in this 8-inch Pratt Bernard chuck. Take one of the jaws out. Luckily on the back there's a very small step here. We think because we're taking so little material off, we can just get it nice and cute around that little flange there, clock it up, go in and skim a little bit out. Job's a jazzer. Anyway, we'll see how we get on. So as everyone knows, whatever way around your jaws are in a 4-jar, next time you use a chuck you always want them the opposite way around. So we'll just get on round and whip all them out and swap them round. Now to save you the tedium, I think we'll do that with a bit of time lapse, shall we? And there you are, we're just roughly set, just eye up to these lines roughly, and just drop her in. We'll clock it up properly when it's in, but at least we've done half of it before we get there. While we're here and before we go at it, we might as well just have a quick look at how this part's been made. Because when you first pick it up, you might think it's a commercial part of a mass-produced factory out of an aircraft or something like that. But actually I don't think it is. It's something that's been made up out of a few pieces, such as I think this is a big turned, probably stainless steel backplate there, and then they've gone in and machine through these inlet guide vanes, probably 3-axis CNC, but then if you drop it down you can see the little tenons here that are left on top of the vanes. So I presume this top plate here is just laser cut out and dropped on to close off the vanes, and they've gone round and tacked them up and then added these little lugs around the outside for the casing. The only little complexity with this job is the studs. I think they're tapped in there, but then they've also welded them on, presumably to stop them coming out when you undo the nuts, so we won't be able to take them out unfortunately, but I think we'll get around that. I just thought it was quite a nice way of making what is essentially quite a complex part, which you'd think would be sort of a casting or 5-axis machined or DMLS, but it's actually fabricated up quite cleverly out of a number of smaller bits. Anyway, we'll try not to make a mess of it. Right, over to the machine now. It's Ekman White's finest, Harrison VS330TR, made in West Yorkshire, just like me. It should be sat in a tool room really, not on a pallet in the back of this garage, but anyway, hopefully it'll late with this job. So first thing we'll have to do is get on and whip this collet puller off and get our 4-jar chuck on. Right, and there we are, we're roughly in, but as you can see we're just running out a bit, so we'll set our clock up and see if we can get her a bit nearer. So I've put a little verdict DTI on that middle bar there. I've done that because I think it's a machine feature in the same part as a face we're trying to skim, so I think we'll have a better success doing that than trying to clock on this little bore here in the laser cut part. So I'll whip round that and we'll true it up, and then I'll also see if I can get it on this face there and just make sure we're not running out on the face we're trying to skim as well. So we've whipped round that now, so clocking off that little bar in the middle there, and that's an half thou clock. So I've just about managed to get it within half a thou. So I think for what we're doing, I think that should be about right. For a bit for a Land Rover we might try a bit harder, but anyway it's only for Scott in it. So what we'll do now is we'll just set our clock up on this back face here, the one we're actually going to skim, and just see how true that is. There's not really too much we can do about it if it is out, apart from see if it'll tap back anymore. Let's see what we got. About 3 thou there, so if we'll just get it to eye spot and give it a whack and see if it'll move. I think we're quite hard up there. Yeah, still 3 thou, so about 75 micron. I think the eye spot seems to be where the rub marks are. So I think that I'll probably have to do, and we'll skim it back through again. Right, we'll go for a big 20mm carbide tip boring bar. Hopefully that'll get that inkiln off right enough. So we'll get that whacked in. Fire up and touch on. Nice and slow with that thing working around there. We'll just go in and touch on. Once that run out, zero it off. Back again. I think first thing we'll do is just skim it to zero, and then we'll probably go in and just point one at a time. There's no point rushing it and firing it across workshops, and it's got to be a bit upset. Yeah, that's some big lumps of Inconel picked up on it being taken off. It's not even down to zero yet. So probably a couple of passes just to get all that clag off. So that's first pass, it's properly cleaned up. That's 0.15 of a millimetre off. So it's after 0.25 total. So I think we'll go in and take that extra 0.1 and see what it looks like. So that's cleaning up pretty nice now. That's at 0.25, I reckon we'll get away with that. I'm still here it's chipping a few bits of Inconel off. There we are, zero. There we go. Nice. Maybe let's just phone that Scott and see if that's what he wants, but to me, I reckon we've done alright there. So evidently with a combination of absolutely zero talent and a bucket load of luck, that seems to have come out rather nicely. So I'll whip it out now. An old tip my old college lecturer used to say is, undo the jaws either side of the Pratt Bernard sticker, and then when the beggar answers me WhatsApp message in 5 minutes saying he wants a bit more off, at least I know where to put it back. Oh yes, oh, quite happy with that. Well, I say it looks better than it did. Anyway, there we are. Hopefully that's cheered it up. Scott can get it all back together and get another video up of it running. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't enjoyed yourself, well, you can always take yourself back to TikTok. And if I sent you to sleep, hope you wake up before closing time. See you.
Well, I just want to close this video off by saying thank you to Carl for being an absolute legend. Not only is he one of the most talented mechanical engineers that you could possibly meet, but he's taken his own time to fix my jet engine parts and make me new parts on numerous occasions, despite working long hours in a stressful job, having 2 kids and his own projects. So absolute hero. Thanks mate, and thanks from Scott's Crazy Builds.